Most people think their job is done once the recycling hits the bin. But what really happens after it's picked up? Well, that's where things get interesting and a little dangerous. Inside these facilities, the materials we toss into the recycling get sorted, baled, and sent out to be reused. But when people throw in the wrong stuff, like lithium-ion batteries, propane tanks, or aerosol cans, it can spark a fire that puts the entire facility and its workers at risk. So today, we're going inside a material recovery facility, or MRF, to see what's really happening to your recycling, and to talk about the hazards that could be hiding in your recycling bin. You found Stashed. I'm Pat, firefighter, mechanical engineer, and battery guy.
I'm at the Kent County Department of Public Works Recycling Education Center. There's a lot of battery fires related to recycling because people throw them away or throw them in the recycling, don't realize they can cause a lot of problems. So I'm here with Isaac. Isaac, Pat.
Nice to meet you.
Great to meet you. Love your expertise. Have you walk me through the process and talk about where some of these fires are?
So yeah, we process about 600 tons a week. All of it being from commercial haulers that pay to pick up your trash and recycling, and then they bring your recycling to our site. Most of our fires happen right here on the tip floor. This is the first place where all the material comes in. The trucks back up, they dump everything out here on the floor. And this is where we see most of our fires. Our loaders are out here pushing that pile up, moving it around. And those are big pieces of equipment, and they'll damage those batteries without any problem and not even knowing that it happened.
So the loader operator is doing two jobs here. He's pushing everything into a pile after they dump.
Yep.
And then he's also dropping material into that big hopper is that the drum feeder? That's the second step?
Yep. That big drum feeder is our second step. And it's in there, it's spinning, it's ripping up those bags as much as possible, trying to break everything up. So during the winter when everything's frozen and clumped together, it's trying to break all that up. So yeah, a few years ago was when we had a fire at 450 in the drum feeder. It was full on a Friday afternoon, and a battery must have been damaged. It was kind of the same process, and it sat in there for 20 minutes, and all of a sudden they decided that was enough and it was going to give off enough heat, kind of spark up. So if it had happened 10, 15 minutes later, there wouldn't have been anybody here in the building, and this whole building could have gone. So I've had somebody ask me, well, why can't you just pick the batteries out before they go on through?
Right.
And I'm like, that's why. We don't know there's a battery in there. Even if you guarantee me there's one battery in there, there's absolutely no way for us to find it.
It's amazing you can find them after the fires.
It is.
You've obviously had a few fires here. About how many fires do you have on the tipping floor in a year?
We could go a month or two without having any, and then we can have a week where we have 3 in a week.
Okay. Usually they're pretty small fires, right?
Yeah. Usually, I mean, our operators are always pretty busy. They got, depending on the line speed, they got between 5 to 10 minutes to fill that drum. So they're not sitting around twiddling their thumbs for the most part. The one that happened a week or two ago kind of happened on the back side as our two loader operators were switching.
Okay.
But as he got in there, he went back there and immediately saw it and back dragged it outside.
So when he took that fire, that chunk of pile that was on fire, he took that load outside. Is that, you just hit it with fire extinguishers at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea there, obviously you want to keep a small fire, right? You don't want a big fire.
Try to get it away from the rest of the pile, give it away from everything, try to segregate it, pull it outside, and then we'll put it out safely and as quickly as we can.
Yeah, and if this was to be even this pile right here at this size, that would be a pretty big fire. I've fought some fires in some tipping floors, and it's not fun.
No. Yeah, and then this is obviously, if we weren't to get any more trucks, we'd probably run out of material in the next hour and a half max.
In February 2024, they experienced a rather large fire at this facility. This could have had major consequences. You can see how quickly that smoke develops. That's a lithium-ion battery kicking off in the top of that pile. And think about the location. It's a very difficult to reach location. The loaders actually try to get in there. They can't quite make it. The other thing to consider is while this is on the top of the pile, this could have easily been somewhere in the middle of the pile, making for a deep-seated fire that would spread very quickly. You can see the operators get out. They're trying to get up there with a fire extinguisher to actually address this issue. and quickly realize that there is no way they're going to climb to the top of that pile and extinguish that. They try to actually get at that fire with the loader to try to get it out of the building, but even that isn't working. It's just out of reach of that loader. Oh, hey, how'd he get up there? Nice work with the fire extinguisher, knocking down those flames. Then comes the hose, and they do knock that fire down and keep it at bay, but ultimately they ended up having to call in the fire department, which was absolutely the right move. And hopefully they got the fire department coming sooner in that incident than later. But due to this fire, they ended up installing a new fire protection system.
So this is our fire over system. Inside of it is a 500-gallon water tank. We have a thermal camera over there, okay, a smoke camera, and then we have just a regular camera where this is monitored 24/7. There's limits that fire over has set, where if it reaches a certain heat threshold, a certain smoke threshold, or like if they identify, like AI identify a flame, it triggers and tells them to have their operator pull it up, look at it. And then we have two fire nozzles, one here and one on the other side.
Okay, up there, yeah.
Where they can, like a video game, joystick, control that spray, and they set those alarms off to like, so yeah, they log in and watch us to make sure that they're not gonna spray anybody. If we're fighting it, they'll fire that off, or they'll set that alarm off, kind of tell us to back up. Or if we feel comfortable with it, they'll let us fight it and put it out. These bays are where up on Presort is above us.
Okay.
This last bay is our residual stuff that typically if we go look at it, it got missed by some sort of sorting process. Small pieces of paper that just didn't get caught by our screens.
Okay.
Or chunks of styrofoam, which we don't accept. So we try to take this, we mix this back into our pile, try to run it through as much as possible. But for the most part, this is all just kind of projected material that didn't get captured for one reason or another.
Okay. So a lot of this will probably end up in the landfill eventually.
All of our stuff goes to the waste to energy facility across the road. Okay. So they incinerate it.
Incineration, power generation,
yep.
Right? Okay.
And then again, this is all that trash that they're pulling off. So any obvious bags, cushions, clearly stuff we don't take. Big bulky plastics.
So where will all this stuff go?
All of this stuff, our loader will grab it, take a bucket, we'll carry it around and dump it on that in-feed conveyor, and it'll get baled up at the end of the day.
All right, so I end up baling all the larger plastic pieces.
Yep.
Okay.
And then this last chute is that metal chute, where they're grabbing all that metal and throwing it down here. And the same thing, that loader bucket will come in here, scoop that up, and that 40 that's right outside, that 40-yard container, they'll fill that up and we'll send that out as it gets full, and that's usually about every 4 business days.
We left the tipping floor and made our way all the way upstairs to where the material leaves the drum feeder, heads up a conveyor belt, and then drops into the Presort area.
I'm Pat.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So just tell me about what you're doing here. So everything's going into a drum feeder. It's coming up this conveyor. What are you looking for?
Looking for plastic, 3 through 7.
Okay.
3 through 7 goes down in this hole.
All right.
I'm looking for trash.
So this is all for the trash?
Yeah, this is all your trash, plastic bag, anything that's got stuff on it like that.
Okay.
Go down in there. That's definitely trash.
Right. A lot of stuff that doesn't belong in the recycling bin, right? You ever get like batteries or other cylinders or spray cans? What do you do with those?
Batteries, they would go into a container that's sitting right there that just got taken away.
Okay.
Cylinders, we'll put down over in this one.
So you guys are kind of like the first line of defense to make sure that you're stopping the hazardous stuff from getting into the system.
We watch for magnets. We watch for any kind of, what do you call it? Chemicals, paints. This is a whole bag of trash. We'll take it out of the bag. This is for like glass for down there and it'll break up.
After Presort, everything goes into the OCC.
So this is separating the large pieces of cardboard out, letting everything else go through?
Yep, so those openings are big, so it's kind of carrying that flat cardboard up over top of it and do a conveyor on the backside. You dump out on the tip floor, be baled, and then everything else, all those smaller objects, all those small pieces of plastic, those water bottles, it's all falling down through.
So the cardboard's going that way.
Yep.
Everything else drops down, goes into here, glass gets spat, and then everything stock glass goes that way.
Yep. And then it continues on, and it goes into our two paper streams. That's where those discs are spinning, and it's carrying all those flat two-dimensional objects up and throw them onto the conveyor to go over. And all those three-dimensional objects are either falling through the gaps in that stream, or they're getting bounced down, falling onto another conveyor and continuing on.
So he's looking for trash or wood or large pieces of metal, correct?
Yep. And then he's also pulling off cardboard and throwing it down the chute. He'll take it over and bale it.
So as everything is coming up here, anything that's got steel, iron, is going to jump up to that magnet, dropped on this conveyor over here.
Yeah. This conveyor will take it over, drop it into that bin that we saw, and wait for them to bale it. This is where we do have some of that hand sortation. This is that big incline coming up where that magnet belt spinning right up top.
Okay.
You'll see some batteries here sometimes, and then this guy will catch batteries too a lot of them.
All right.
So I just emptied that 5-gallon bucket earlier today. That was probably a couple weeks old. Might have had 6, 7, 8 batteries inside.
So not only do we have a manual process here, but it looks like you have some type of vision system over there as well.
Yep, as it comes underneath here, it's reading what type of plastic it is. It's telling that arm where it is, and when to go grab it, and it'll come out and grab it,
Okay.
pick it up and throw it in.
All right. That's a pretty interesting system.
We got 3 of these robots, and they work really well.
So you'll see the aluminum actually jump off the conveyor belt and go somewhere else. I've always been impressed with the eddy current system. It's amazing watching that aluminum just, and the copper too, just jump right off the belt.
Yep.
It's almost like magic.
It is. So it's flipping them over into here, and then we have a blower blowing it out.
After the non-ferrous material is removed, the rest of the material continues on to another robotic sorting station.
We could use another probably 3 of these robots. We can't capture everything. It's just so much of those small pieces of plastic. And there's only so much time. If it reads 2 objects sitting next to each other as it goes by, it can only go and grab one and throw it.
Right. And then I can see other stuff that people shouldn't be throwing away, like that apple. I mean, that doesn't belong in the recycling at all, right?
No, it's not.
So I'm sure you get a lot of trash like that. It's unfortunate, 'cause that makes...
We do. We get a lot of shoes, a lot of clothes. We get wigs. We do get like food scraps that people throw away. Dirty diapers. We get a lot of gross stuff. Recycling shouldn't stink on its own. It's all the trash that's mixed in with it. You can see that's some of the stuff that they pulled off after Presort, where that's all that trash and that's all scrap metal. We dump that daily. So the other time we've had issues with fires in the building are in our baler.
Okay.
So if that guy isn't paying attention and a small 1-pound propane tank gets picked up and thrown in there,
Sure.
depending on how much is in there, we've had our baler shoot flames out one end or the other.
Yeah, and I assume those little 1-pound propane tanks, those are something you don't accept here,
We
correct?
do not accept those here.
Yeah.
It's still crazy how many we get.
Is that about the only size you get, or will you get the larger ones here as well?
We just had a load where we pulled out 2 of the larger propane tanks.
The 20-pounders?
Yep.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Those definitely should not make it here.
Right. So yeah, our ferrous fails before, where we've had them where we open the door and some fire kind of comes rolling out of the baler, where a propane tank was crushed and there's a little bit of propane gas floating out.
Okay.
So this is our glass pile. So this is where we've had, again, those little individual cells that are sparking and spitting.
Right.
Where if it ignites earlier on in the system, it's probably going to be a bigger issue. Out here, not the end of the world. It's inside of a concrete bunker. And for the most part, this is like 85% glass by weight. So we're sending out about 100 tons of cardboard, 150 tons of cardboard a week, and about 200 tons of paper a week. We go with 150, 200 tons of glass that we're sending out a week.
Okay. So this is your baler then, right?
This is our baler. That's where I know our baler operators are up there. They're great. They're super knowledgeable. When they're baling tin, we have them come around and watch any of those little one-front propane tanks coming out. And then we've had them before where it gives a little boom, and they know that to grab it. Or we've had it before where you can just smell propane like leaking out of the bale before. So they'll take that bale, set it outside for a while, and just kind of let it offset. This one baler bales everything.
Bales every, okay.
So our baler operators have to know the pulse of the building. If something happens to the baler, we have about 30 minutes before the whole plant shuts down. We have no way to divert stuff. Once that paper hopper fills, it fills in about 30, 40 minutes, depending on the line speed. We have to shut down the facility until we get this up and going.
Okay.
Each commodity, as it's separated, is falling into its own bin.
Okay.
Our baler operators are kind of watching it, and they know about how long they have to bale this tin once a day.
Okay.
The next one over is our clear PET #1 plastics. They know they have about an hour and a half before they need to run that and make 2-3 bales out of it. Our paper hopper is basically running 90% of the day when we're stopping and running other items. So our baler operators have 7 different commodities that they all kind of have to interchangeably bale for the one baler.
Okay.
So they have a good feel of the building, knowing when they need to shut stuff down, open the bins and whatnot. So right here, so they did just bale our trash. This is where our tin is, so when they do open that, they'll stand here with a little magnet on a stick and watch those little one-pop propane tanks coming out.
Okay. So that door opens up, all that material drops on this conveyor belt.
Yep.
And then runs into the...
And it runs up and goes into the baler.
How frequent do they spit out?
So depending on the commodity, mixed paper bale, probably every, 5 minutes for a mixed paper bale?
Okay.
When they close that paper hopper, and then they run whatever commodities, it could be a couple minutes in between. And then when they first start running that mixed paper, they'll have a half an hour's worth of paper all coming out at the same time. So they'll spit out 3-4 bales in a matter of 10 minutes.
So this is the final product. Everything gets baled, it gets stacked. I see the different stacks around here. And it looks like at this point everything's separated, right?
Yep. This is as far as we break everything down. We have the cardboard, the OCC bales. We have our mixed paper bales. And then we have all of our plastics and metals after that.
Okay, and the plastic, metals, everything's over there.
Yep.
It's pretty impressive seeing all the different bales and how well they're sorted at that point.
I think Kent County has done a really good job of keeping up to date, updating technology when they need to and when they can, and spending money to help sort stuff, make it clean.
Well, thanks a lot for showing me around, showing us the process here, talking about kind of the fire safety aspects and what you're running into. Hopefully, at least some of the viewers get something out of it and understand what goes into the recycling process and really what shouldn't go into the recycling process as well.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming out and taking time to tour the facility today.
Jason over here, I know you haven't really been in it, but thanks for keeping us safe and making sure nobody ran us over.
Perfect, no problem.
All right.